I most recently came from Colombia, was involved visited them for 2 weeks and saw firsthand, not only in my territory, where we're also fighting for our lands and our resources in our own communities, is seeing it within their communities, only under a gun. And it occurred also in my own community only 6 months ago, when we're defending our lands and territories for the future generations of our peoples. And it has revitalized the role of our communities, of our traditional governance and clan mothers within our communities in order to rectify the situation, and how the women's roles within our decision-making processes are revitalized, and the women in our communities have reclaimed our land. And it's an integral part of defending who we are as a people, because we're defending and promoting and making sure that our future generations are looked after. We know that many Indigenous territories and lands make up some of the last remaining pristine places on Earth, precisely because of the traditional role that our women have played, who have sustained cultures, economic practices, and worldviews that have protected our mother, the Earth, and her resources. Indigenous women are often the main sources of local and traditional knowledge. We have been responsible for gathering and preserving traditional medicines and foods, and this role continues in our communities today. As Indigenous women, we are often the ones to see the subtle changes in our environment, which are often reflected in the quality and the quantity of our traditional medicines and foods. We are acutely aware of any changes of the environment that we live in. The problems and issues faced by Indigenous women are directly linked to the environment, and it is sad. Because of the roles that we play, our spiritual roles that we play as Indigenous women in this world, and our ceremonies that tell us our connections between the earth and the Creator, because of our roles in bringing that spirit into this physical world. And when there's damage being done to our mother, the earth, there's also damage to our women and our children and our communities. And it affects and directly is associated with violence that's occurring in our communities. Women are experiencing the highest incidence of environment-related chronic diseases, such as heart disease, stroke, obesity, and diabetes. Because we traditionally are closest to the environment, the land, the movement away from our traditional lifestyles has directly affected us. I'm going to give you just some statistics of the effects of this damage. Aboriginal women are almost 3 times more likely to contract AIDS than non-Aboriginal women. Chronic conditions like arthritis and rheumatism, asthma, high blood pressure, gastrointestinal, cardiac conditions begin to affect Aboriginal women, Indigenous women at age 45 years of age. 7% of Aboriginal women over the age of 15 have been diagnosed with diabetes, compared to 3% for the rest of the female population. Aboriginal women can expect to live 76.8 years on average versus 82 for non-Aboriginal. And the fertility rate is much less. Aboriginal women is 2.6, for non-Aboriginal it's 1.5. So just these statistics that we have is evidence of how our women are being directly impacted. As Indigenous women, we are responsible for healing. We're responsible for healing our minds, emotional, spiritually, physically, and ensuring the well-being of our families. We need to recognize that there is a critical relationship between our well-being as human beings and the environment. If the environment is healthy, then we are healthier. If we are sick, it's because of the environment and the damage that's being done. When our women are healthy, our communities are healthy. And we have a teaching from where I come from. And it says that as human beings, we're no different than any other spiritual being, any other living thing, that we're equal to all of those spiritual beings. The only difference is that the Creator gave us a mind to think, and to have a good mind to think, that we have to make those changes that are responsible to ensure the well-being of our communities. And so, in knowing that we have that responsibility, it is a huge responsibility. All of us are responsible. And we know that in order to address the various issues that are affecting our communities, violence is one of the worst, I believe. It entails many different forms of violence that are occurring. Indigenous, our traditions, and our women themselves identify our spirit with the earth. And because there's raping of our lands and our territories, there's a direct relationship of that violence that's occurring to our women. It is rooted in many of our cultures and traditions that women embody and protect our health and well-being. We're denied access to our territories and natural resources, and this denial of our people's access to our resources affects our whole communities. It leads to poverty. There's economic violence, where the primary sources of food and water and medicine and building materials affects the well-being of our communities. So, in turning that around and looking at the celebrations of what we need to do in our communities, is that the strength of our women and the reclaiming of our roles and our traditions in our communities is being done. Our young people, our children in our communities are revitalizing and learning our languages and our ceremonies and our traditions. And so that's a celebration because we have not lost that. In conclusion, I just want to say that as a result of all of these things that have impacted our communities, I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be able to share with you all of the issues and important things that are occurring in our community. And what I need to say is that, again, the solutions are going to come from everyone. And once we all know about our own relationships and identities to our communities, then we won't have to address this anymore. We won't need to worry about whether we'll have and live on this earth healthy. Nyawa.